That is, until the stepmother comes up with another plan that is quite crazy and unfounded. She suggested that her husband test his son's manhood by climbing into bed with him. Strange as it may seem, it made sense to Mr. Theodoro. Of course, Armando, who heard the idea, was disgusted, but in his heart he was also a man who wanted to show that the accusations were false. Finally, Armando agreed to his parents' request. Initially, Mr. Theodoro wanted to watch when his son was with his wife, but Armando refused. Hi there, and welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving back into the world of real-life horrifying events that happen across the globe. This time, our story takes us to Dipolog City in the Philippines. It's a shocking tale about a stepmother who crossed unimaginable boundaries. Instead of treating her stepson with love and care, something far more troubling developed between them. What really happened in this disgraceful case? Stick around as we dig deeper into the full story. Before we dive into the story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this story with your friends. It helps us reach more people. Now, here's the story. In 1969, a man named Theodoro was born in Dapitan City, Philippines. Over the years, he made a name for himself as a boxing and karate coach. In 1994, he got married and had 2 children, one born in 1996 and the other in 1998. Theodoro was known for his discipline, so much so that it bordered on being harsh. He didn't hesitate to yell or even resort to hitting his wife and kids if they disobeyed him. This strictness, paired with financial struggles as a sports coach, eventually drove his wife to leave him in 2010. From then on, Theodoro was left to raise his 2 children on his own. In 2012, Theodoro moved to Dipolog City with his kids after being invited by a friend to coach boxing there. The opportunity came with a better salary, and Theodoro hoped it might also help him reconnect with his estranged wife, who he believed was in the area. Despite years of searching, he never found her. Over time, Theodoro dated several women, but none of the relationships led to marriage. Meanwhile, his career flourished. He opened a successful boxing gym with a relative, training athletes who frequently won regional and national competitions. His improved finances allowed his family to live comfortably in a 2-story shop house where the gym was located on the 1st floor and their home on the 2nd. His eldest son, Armando, graduated from high school in 2015. Despite his father's wishes for him to become a boxer, Armando pursued his own path. He studied economics but took a job as a nightclub bartender in 2017. The job, though lucrative, caused him to postpone his thesis repeatedly, leaving him unable to graduate. Armando rarely came home, often staying at friends' houses or crashing at the nightclub where he worked. Meanwhile, his younger sister, Margarita, graduated from high school in 2017 and moved to Davao City for college. She shared a close bond with Armando. They chatted daily on WhatsApp and video called often. From Theodoro's perspective, Armando was rebellious, ignoring most of his father's wishes. Theodoro believed his son's newfound financial independence had made him delinquent. Armando, on the other hand, saw his father as overly strict and unwilling to understand his children's emotions, which caused constant tension between them. Things took an unexpected turn in November 2019 when Theodoro married a woman named Guadalupe, whom a friend had introduced to him. Guadalupe, 46 at the time, had 2 failed marriages and a background as a saleswoman for alcoholic beverages. Theodoro, now 50, married her without consulting or even inviting his children to the wedding. Long story short, Armando and Margarita only found out about their father's remarriage through a WhatsApp message. Shocked as they were, they knew there was no point in protesting. Their father was not the kind of man who cared for anyone's opinion, even his own children's. Eventually, Armando came home and met his new stepmother, Guadalupe. He didn't like her at all. She struck him as cynical, lazy, and uninterested in doing anything productive. She even ordered food delivery for every meal instead of cooking. On the flip side, Guadalupe didn't think much of Armando either. She saw him as weak and cowardly, just as Mr. Theodoro had described him. At the time, Armando was in a relationship with a girl named Felicia, who worked as a karaoke hostess. Their relationship seemed close, but cracks soon began to show. Armando learned from friends that Felicia often went out with other men when she wasn't with him. Worse, rumors swirled that she was taking paid appointments with wealthy men. At first, Armando brushed off the gossip, but as more people came forward with the same story, he couldn't ignore it. Her suspicious behavior didn't help either. Felicia would always hide her phone when they were together, and on her days off, she was hard to reach and often not at her rental. By April 2020, Armando had had enough. He ended the relationship, telling her he wanted to focus on work and finish his thesis. Felicia didn't take the breakup well. She begged and cried, pleading with Armando to stay. But he was firm and refused to give in. That's when a vindictive idea crossed her mind. She sent a WhatsApp message to Mr. Theodoro, claiming that Armando had broken up with her because he had been caught dating another man. Furious and shocked, Theodoro believed every word. To him, it explained everything. Why Armando had refused to become a boxer, why he was hard to manage, and why he spent so much time with his male friends or at the gym. When Theodoro told Guadalupe about this, instead of calming him down, she fueled his anger. She urged him to make Armando quit his nightclub job, claiming that the nightlife was corrupting him. Some of her arguments seemed to make sense to Theodoro, and by the time Armando came home, his father was seething. As soon as Armando walked through the door, Theodoro confronted him, yelling and forbidding him from ever working at the club again. Armando, however, wasn't having it. He denied all of Felicia's accusations, explaining that she had made everything up because she was bitter about the breakup. He even told his father about the rumors of her being a paid companion. But Theodoro wasn't the type to believe his own family over someone else. "Armando, you're not working at that nightclub anymore," he shouted. "If you do, we're done as father and son." Armando refused to back down. "If you really believe her, prove it," he challenged. "Don't just accuse me for no reason. I'm not going to stand here and let you treat me like this." That night, Armando locked himself in his room, refusing to eat or even speak. His stepmother, however, came up with a bizarre and outrageous plan. She suggested that Armando's father, Mr. Theodoro, test his son's manhood in the most unthinkable way, by sharing a bed with him. As absurd as it sounded, Mr. Theodoro somehow found logic in the idea. Armando, disgusted and horrified, wanted nothing to do with it, but he also felt an urge to prove his innocence. He couldn't bear the thought of his father spreading this ridiculous accusation to his sister in Davao City or to other relatives, especially Margarita, who would surely be disappointed. Reluctantly, Armando agreed to their request. At first, Mr. Theodoro wanted to be present during the act, but Armando put his foot down. Just the thought of it made him want to vomit. So, under dim lights and with immense reluctance, Armando and Guadalupe followed through with the horrifying plan. After their first encounter, Guadalupe cruelly mocked Armando, calling him weak and questioning his masculinity. This enraged him, but it didn't stop his stepmother. Over the next month, this humiliating cycle repeated 4 times, with Mr. Theodoro and Armando practically taking turns, as though Guadalupe was some twisted shared possession. Feeling utterly disgusted and manipulated, Armando finally snapped. He confronted his father, who nonchalantly declared that Armando had passed the test and proven his manliness. But for Armando, this so-called test had nothing to do with manhood. It was shameful, immoral, and deeply against his beliefs. He vowed never to participate in this again and begged his father to keep it all a secret, especially from Margarita. After that, Armando couldn't bring himself to return home for 2 months. He was overcome with regret and shame over what had happened. On August 24, 2020, he received shocking news. His ex-girlfriend Felicia, along with her friend Santiago, had been arrested for assaulting a woman who later died from her injuries. At first, Armando didn't care. He wanted nothing to do with Felicia, especially after her false accusations had led to his father's bizarre demands. But when he learned that the victim was his stepmother, Guadalupe, everything changed. Armando rushed to Dipolog City General Hospital, only to find his father weeping uncontrollably. Guadalupe had succumbed to her injuries. Shattered glass bottles used in the attack had caused fatal wounds. An investigation soon followed. So, what exactly had happened to Guadalupe's mother while Armando was away, staying at his best friend's house? It turned out that Armando, overwhelmed by anger and resentment, had gone searching for his ex-girlfriend. He blamed Policia for the chaos in his family, especially after she had filed a complaint against his father, a complaint he considered cruel and unforgivable. As it turns out, Policia still had strong feelings for Armando. She admitted her mistakes and desperately wanted to reconcile, hoping to mend what they once had. With tears in her eyes, she confessed that she had worked as a karaoke hostess, entertaining men to support her family financially. She promised to leave that life behind if Armando could find it in his heart to forgive her and give their relationship another chance. During their conversation, Armando opened up about the aftermath of his father receiving false accusations. He spoke about how his stepmother had treated him, using cruel methods to test his masculinity and strength. Policia was horrified by what she heard. She hadn't imagined things had spiraled so far out of control. The realization hit her hard. Her actions had inadvertently played a part in Armando's trauma and deep-seated hatred toward her. This revelation stirred a mix of regret and anger within Policia. Fueled by resentment and seeking some twisted form of justice, she teamed up with a coworker and friend named Santiago to confront Guadalupe. Together, they devised a plan to lure her into a meeting. After weeks of tracking, they managed to find Guadalupe's phone number. On August 24, 2020, they asked her to meet them at a cafe, claiming they wanted to discuss Armando's disappearance. He hadn't returned home in 2 months. Guadalupe, unaware of their true intentions, arrived alone. What started as a heated argument quickly escalated. Hair was pulled, voices rose, and tensions snapped. Santiago stepped in to defend Policia, breaking bottles in the process. Together, they attacked Guadalupe, leaving her helpless on the ground. Despite being rushed to Dipolog City General Hospital, Guadalupe couldn't be saved. The tragedy didn't end there. Policia and Santiago were arrested and taken into custody by the authorities, their plan for revenge ending in a far greater loss than they had anticipated. According to their lawyer, Policia and Santiago didn't plan the attack. It wasn't intentional. The weapons used weren't brought from home or pre-planned. Everything escalated on the spot. The lawyer argued that Guadalupe had started the physical fight. Surveillance footage from the cafe backed this up, showing the three of them chatting casually at first before things turned heated. Guadalupe was seen throwing the first punch, hitting Policia in the face. In response, Policia retaliated by pulling her hair, and the situation quickly spiraled out of control. Santiago initially tried to break up the fight but got hit in the process. Forced to defend himself, he joined in, and the chaos ended with broken bottles being used as weapons. Guadalupe was left lying helpless on the floor. When Armando was questioned by authorities, he admitted he never expected things to escalate so tragically. His only demand had been for Policia to clear up the false accusations she had made against his father, which he believed had tarnished his family's reputation. He blamed Policia for stirring up unnecessary trouble, but even he hadn't anticipated this outcome. In the end, Armando wasn't charged with anything. However, his father, Mr. Theodoro, faced charges of misconduct for his treatment of Armando. Margarita, Armando's sister, was heartbroken over the situation but hoped their father would face justice for his actions. On February 27, 2021, the Dipolog City Regional Trial Court reached its verdict. Policia and Santiago were found guilty of assaulting Guadalupe and causing her death. Both were convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 15 years in prison. They were given the possibility of parole after serving at least 10 years. Meanwhile, Mr. Theodoro pleaded guilty to misconduct and was sentenced to 8 months in prison. Following the trial, Armando left Dipolog City and joined his brother in Davao City to look for work. According to some sources, he never returned to finish his studies at Dipolog City State University, leaving his past behind to start fresh. What lessons can we learn from this story?